Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Namo Buddha Namo Dhamma Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharma Namo Sanghaya Kande Laje Gwenje Doga Ragba Shosang Bongde Chunze Cheje Gyabo Gwenje Losa Seda Jeba Nede Denye Nanga Sende Bende Cheze Lama Jebe Zonga Talon Debe Sena Shinjo Tenpa Jeje Geja Shuso Sheje Chungwen Jabe Lodu Gesan Nawe Genjo Leshe Tabe Benye Lame Tonde Dembe Dende Laja Yiwon Chunye Nazo Mendo Tishen Dobe Nanzen Deja Weisha Yidu Chudi Shena Xingzhuo Qela Chuba Kaxi Tongmen Dine Saba Lunga Yisun Migi Jiji Qeburan Dongba Sumgi Mede Ningne Juba Dabu Ningme Dede Mangde Lula Shuje Bangbe Denju Deyu Wambo Jeje Labjin Zeba Daja Samba Tabe Yira Cheje Laman Damba Shugui Kala Tenzin Dorjee Cheda Samben Duje Sema Sabye Chuje Chawa Abdu Namda Vese Yingle Shekwa Sonju Gula Changdo Minga Tame Nangwo Shugu Sidi Bando Mino Demba Taso Chinye Sabe Yewa Tenda Zhowa Gwenla Hangbe Tiebara Chizi Losang Zhaba Tenbe Ningbo Mime Zebe Derjin Jenres Chime Kenbe Wangbo Jambe Debo Mali Zhongze Sangbe Kanjen Kebe Zhujian Zonga Lozan Tabe Shabla Sowa Mime Zebe Dejin Kenbe Wangbo Jambe Yang Debo Mali Zhongze Sangbe Kanjen Kebe Zhujian Zonga Lozan Tabe Shabla So de meme zebe de je je Time Kembe Wangbo Jambe Tibo Mali Zhomze Roje Zongwa Lo San Tabe Sha So Wan De Bande Zawe Lama Rembo Tazo Jiur Benden Densho Kade Chenbe Kone Cheso Gozhon Toje Nguzhon Zedo Banden Zawe Lama Rembo Taso Ningara Benden Densho Kade Chenbe Kone Chodan Temo Nguzhon Zedo Banden Zawe Lama Rembo Tazo Ningara Benden Densho Lang Kade Jiangzhou Ningbin Bando Denba Yu Ma San Zhime Xera Bari Ma Jie Manga Namge Ngowo So So Rang Ri Yi Xie Zhu Yu De Zong Ye Chang Zhe Lo De Ya Ta Ga De Ba Ra Ga Para Samgande Bodhi So Ha Deya Ta Ga Bodhi So Ha Deya Ta Ga De Para Sam Bodhi So Wa Giri Dong Da Jian Zhu Qi Wang Da Me De Ne Be Jian Da Tian Ban Zhu Xian Pi Song Cao Jiu Zha Ji Ai Yu So Xie Bi Ji Zhu Ji Me Do Dāgē shūgyūrāṃ jīvē sōnāṃ jīyāṃ dōlō bīnyē sāñjē dōmbā rīśō sāñjē yāyō vādē dāne jāsō yē dāgē dōlō bīnyē sāñjē dōmbā rīśō sāñjē chēdā sōjē sōnāṃ lā yāyō vādō dāne jāsō yē dāgē shūgyūrāṃ jīvē sōnāṃ Lola Pinje Sanjem Rumbarisho. Simje Tamje Donde. Tosalana Mavayada was over Sanya Homer Tower teacher. Sabisha Sanyam, Gumisha, Jamatin says an assembly. Let us all take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. So with that kind of at least contrived altruistic bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this precious Dharma discourse.
让在群众听下的，可是如果现在的kun dem da lokta se dia ba he da da dia ba bong su kha de se na o te ma he ne se
Kandis ki pomus.
la yu shin je lo shu ya jo ba na de ji se a jo ga ga he da ba ta ti ge ba bong ya ta phi do kha de se o ti.
So having discussed like different types of cognitions or perceptions, including distorted ones, and so now we will go into dealing with how to address them, or maybe in the case of distorted perceptions, how to tackle them or address them. Those of you who have this English translation of the commentary, we are on page 100 at the bottom.
如果是这在这里呢，这他不是在现在做吉他的。如果是这现在呢，他不是在现在做吉他的，来这滚到年纪你嘞。ngama shiraba da tongwa nyi jula yidri. Lenje laya khansa chida zinyi da shima laya. Kunda raga zinyi chupa zimba da sungzi ziki da ziba nyi. Yela ngama koshi yirikwa tikju le rangi mingar le mishi maji. Tida yida wada rika choba jira shirikwa samsung la. Lungdi tongda rikpa teta la teni sukdi yimi shi namri zang shukshu. Te yungsu soa shi tang shiba shi kwa ni chukpa. Tikchu le shiba soa chukur kusu shiba ra shi shiba shau. Kunje chukur chudong kusu shibdi shiba shau. Kunde ki tanzi la tenye misi bayi chubta mawa kone ene jila ya teya shenda la tanga toma nyi jila ya misi de di sha nga ma bo sha ka tanga tong sha kang yang tong tamba chuba chuba ma chuba tong tamba chuba men zi jing yena kunzo de chuba shaba kele ba yigo we so tena na kunde je tanzi ni mu ni me ma ma o ba yi bi ju duale te ba se bola la ra ye ba so de je che kunzo de ta je la so da ba da me je she ba ne le de ba je na je ba song 돈에 어마어마 네 거에 제바나 어마베 대마메가 돈을 대바나메 대바나메 시신이 바꾸져 있는 시련담에서 라야 대대인지 조주 시와 조주 시와디 쇼가라에 저거에 가반이 만든데고 대대이 거의 대대이 거의 제주를 렌드들라 다른 시작고 좀 마지소 되는 군대도 고즈로스 다들 로도 자체다 로도 정마보에 돼 지대는 예발 매봤다 매발이 봤다 로도다 군 저자 네 군대 이게거와 어디서 로도 군대 이나한테 어디 단단히다 로도 이거 가서 군대 시월 제 군대 사야지 데려와 가서 예발 매봤다 하시 시우시다 이제도 네 갑을 군대 사야지 돈다 말이 예발 왜다 대 샤워 제다 데라 군대 고유 데라 데려와 가서 치료부터 뭐지 ronda ya mari suri kasandi kunda goida de 어마어마하다. 이 시라마다 현재도 야말이시. 그래서 네 총한테 돈다마 야말이시. 군대서야 돼. 가서 들어와 가서 돈다마 야매봤다 군대 그리고 그래서 내가 총한테야 어마어마하고 그랬어. 어디서 왔어?
근데 양조 소능에 차산시 고마스게.
라
차산시 고마스 양조시 가나로게.
알레 다 로도 군대 니나 군대 고사가 총하라고 강사 수요하시네 치료받도 야마리스
노스.
엔낭바 니들이 야마리스
알레노스.
다 소리서는 다 엄마나 또 대지와 샤거라
노스.
오 대지와 샤기 있어
알레노스. 알레 테는데 바랑시 메슬라도 구데르서.
어다 고개 섬삼바로와
로.
고개
어르신데.
쇼가도 어디
로노스.
동아대다 들으시 엄마가
노스.
대지와리죠
Notes. So we are on page between 199 bottom and page 100 there. So in general, there are all kinds of what we call extremes or extreme viewpoints, if you will. But we could sort of classify them into two major extremes, if you will. The Tibetan word is tha. So one is what is called here. Anyway, what is called here? Okay, forgot what is called here. I'll go with my use translate. Superimposition, and the other one is here is translated as denigration. I call it underestimation. Okay, so as Geshe explanation pertains to the denigration or the underestimation part, the Tibetan word is kurde, casting aspersion onto. Literally, that's what it means. So this is a case where something exists, but if you deny its existence, you said it does not exist. So that is a case of denigration or underestimation. Now, from Chitta Martin's point of view, mind-only school of thought, who is the reference here, right? Who are the, if I can make a new word, denigrators, or the one who is doing that? That said, it's not really the non-Buddhist schools of thought here, and it's not really the Vipassakas or Sautrantikas within the Buddhist school of thought. Actually, it is the Madhyamigans, especially the Prasangika Madhyamigans, because there are certain things which are truly existent, but Prasangika say nothing exists truly. So from Chitta Martin's point of view, so that is a case of what we call underestimation or denigration here. Okay.
어디다 군대 고유지 텐조하고 있다. 내가 딜레라스 컨셉처럼 주머니 매나 대대지 내지 매 시에서디 고송지르게 섬자고 고지 때나 감도 거에 지도까지 세워서 섬섬섬 너의 공부 되지 텐조하러라 시도탄에디 계련스 고시고시 정말 많이 보고 어떻게다 딜레다다 리바 다다 섬자마 고두되면라 감들이 코에서 시도 그 이시와 섬증도 송배 너의 공부 되지 섬증도 송어서도 너의 최선의 생이 되니까 송을 쉬어야 말이야 어떻게 섬증도 공부하셔야 돼 그래서 고통리베 대선하고 거든나 감데 코에 기동 거기시와 섬정도 송 공부해 섬정도 송배 공부를 주스 我学他们的心脏都没有，启动没下去。有了，就是我那就启动有了，我的个些是。啊，天就要融入了松，可是，嗯，松是，连国中也是个，甚至们国中点了，干的可以知道个小松是，甚至是本多公办这就是，我这些天就要融入了，是，启动他也的些领子。过去我是通过电报，我这也不是，我这他这样些机动车都能很多，从多那结巴没些把现在，这些有时可是，送什么东西送本多光把西西的就是，多社区他的生活等于怎么的，许多要么些，我的光把这个这些，很久融入了，许多他也的牵连就是。其他我们那时候来呢，许多他也有在很久牵连就是。关系我就通过没有带嘛，我是，关系我是通过没有带嘛，我这里现在的身上边这个就让个小偷毛主席来的这，到了小偷的我是送学的，我们的是的，这个就是，什么都是没这就是这里，可是那天有啊，然后行动他也得开连就是。天有或者这段时间我们那种人呢，吸收通知吧噻，有时吸收通知吧噻，这是我才发现，首长了说的没见谁呢，你希望见开了说吸收通知吧噻，我的，说首长了说的没见这个嘛是，所以他是什么别让心着急的是那位呢，现在开没人把的吧，我现在这个，什么时候我这个啊，是的，什么时候我们就天就上头。那个提到开连就，过去我是头毛要带嘛，我晓得过去三去的的，那么是早期开那个的，过去三开那个是吧？是不是吧？我龙骨节上开那个的，我这个头毛要带嘛下去，你的什么的？啊，这是的我是这边的，什么时候从写就这就。天就啊，让路去，现在他也可能就是，什么都是说啥的，这是我来讲干啥？什么都是说别通知，什么都说干这些呢？什么都是要多的是吧？是吧？的他过去过往给他写嘛，这些写嘛，都写他就什么给他意思嘛？妈的，其实通知是吧？要认识，这些的干啥？我这是我的，呃。可是啊，我是想我什么都是别都有过把这句我这些，那他就然后你知道他也写两句，我其中有人在这个他故意告诉他们嘛，故意告诉他们嘛，一般是啊，他的这个意思。去他们让个生意嘛，这边就点着，提点就点你过去过下去，现在过去他妈你给开点个嘛是吧？现在他妈你过去过去的对面这上呢，过去过去他妈要开点把戏，我这他同志你送出去多，送那些人说的。
So as we said, from Chitamatrins on mind-only school of point of view, Semtamba, the one, who is denigrating or underestimating, conventional reality are the Prasangika Madhyamikans because they do not assert true existence or intrinsic existence, right? And so now at the bottom part of page 100 and over to the other page, we find Prasangika's response to that contention or the argumentation, if you will. Response to the dispute, that's what it says. Now, the Prasangika's response is kind of like three-pronged, or there are three things Prasangika deal with. The non Chitta Martins say that, because their name says mind only, the word only is very instrumental, right? There are no externally existent objects. Everything is in the nature of mind. That's what the only means, And so the first thing that Prasangika would like to address is, yes, there are sutras where Buddha said that the different worlds that exist are, in the nature of mind only, kind of thing, right? What does that mean, right? So wants to elucidate or, explain the meaning of such a state mind by Buddha in those sutras. So that's part of their response. So that's the point number one, right? What does the only mean, The second one is relatedly, because as we say, that Chitta Martins or Mind's only school do not accept external objects or externally existent objects. We call Chitta. Yeah. Whereas Prasangika Madhyamika says that there are external objects, and as it will be explained more later on, as Geshe said, is how we know that is by our own experience that, for example, form, sounds, and all these objects, they do, how should I say, serve as conditions for different cognitions, isn't it? A form acts as a object or a condition for the visual perceptions of the cognition. A sound, right, act as a condition or object for the auditory perception. So these tell us that external phenomena or objects do exist, right? So Prasangika says they do exist conventionally. That's big difference. And then the third point that they would like to address is where the Chitta Martins assert there is what called Kunshi. Kunshi literally means the basis of all. Okay, it doesn't say consciousness existing. The term is, right, but it's often translated as basic consciousness, storehouse consciousness, alayan vijnan, like that. But really, the word itself says basis of all. That's all it's saying. So Prasangikas have a very unique way of refuting, right, that notion. What does it mean? The basis of all, or in other words, the storehouse consciousness, right? Chitta Martins accept there are 8 consciousnesses, whereas most of the schools only accept 6 consciousnesses. So one of the 8 consciousnesses is the storehouse consciousness or alayan vijnan. And Chitta Martins says they refute that notion, but they have a very unique way of doing that, right? So these are part of the Prasangika's response to the Chitta Martins, and we will look into every one of them in detail now, right?
What did that cause? The symptoms said, because some such a dose, some of the comes from the symptoms. Sing the needs of his song. So this one that the Gomba Mandra, the Karzana, cause of symptoms says, it comes from the Gaga. Subject will lead out the then showing the tickets in the symptom joy of the Timothy. Children may say symptom of the Yomar said, to the Mari, but the Sawa and Jidin, another Liel, then somebody say, what did they are Tandala in the symptom song remedies. And the shadow may have a Tadaka Maris or that Gomaton Jews.
No. So on page 101, the first point that is being addressed is what does the mind only, the word only mean, right, here. So in the Sutra on the 10 grounds called Dashabhumi Sutra, and there is a statement literally which says, as it's translated here, that 3 realms are mind only. The Tathagatas revealed that the 12 links of existence, all the teachings depend on the mind alone. So there, it sounded like all the 3 realms of existence are mind only. And the way Chitta Martins understood it, so therefore there are no external objects. Everything is mind, right? The word only is understood that way by Chitta Martins. But the Prasangikas are saying that that's not how it should be understood. The only here means that all the, like say, external world or inhabitants within. So these are related to the karmas, isn't it? And karma is related to the mind, So that's the meaning of word only. It doesn't mean there are no external phenomena. There are external phenomena. The word only, it means that karma, the karma related to the mind, is the cause of all the things that exist.
Oh, this was just a thing, mother, and big Karsa. Semi Dorjee is a Shibera Hito, this year, this Marie, so I thought, Lel da Simbele da Sambele said to you, because Tardo the Shiva 2 years. I think he has symptoms from Mother Jersey. Any Karsa. Shedang symptoms, children, Shiva Dani is a Tilaka Maris was this or that.
No. So as Chris explained, Pasangikas are telling Chedamatrins that the instrumental word only, some or merely, sometimes we might translate it, right? Some it doesn't mean there are no external phenomena. What it really means is that mind is primary here, right? But all things that exist are due to karmas. And karma is part of the mind. As a matter of fact, when we talk about karma, there are two kinds. Sembele, which is translated as intentional or intentional karma. And sambele, intended karma, is the intended actions, And so these are, of course, related to mind, isn't it? The karma is related to the mind. So mind is a primary. That's the meaning here, and which results in all this existence. So the word only should not be understood as you did, that there are no external phenomena, everything is in the nature of the mind, only mind exists kind of thing. That's not the meaning of it, right?
What is that? Dear Jirta Kaza, send me Hembe, onju so Shivabo, Higabe, Sadamo in this. Oh, dear, that you Kaji, that onju she was the Kaji, Jimmy, she was also, and loves you, Mama. You that they were onju so she had got total. Some of the boy, Mother Jula. Should be Baris or this.
No. And relatedly, I mean, in other schools of thought, particularly in the contemporary at the time Hindu schools of thought, there's a notion of creator, isn't it? And often they invoke the word Ishwar. Ishwar is the creator of the whole universe, isn't it? And so to counteract that, there is no creator of the universe. If there has to be creator, it has to be the mind, right? To emphasize that mind is the creator of everything. If you want a creator, it's the mind, not that there is like a person out there, who has created the whole universe.
What did that? My daughter in the council did something to see me, Junie. Bokana teaching me, rather chatting. Got them, Tamji, seems you them, but how she, Junie was seems you them so many shares. Then something didn't some day, she don't mean go. Simply him, Shiva Bogoba, and was. She, Dorang, Dorang Zelas. Or did the Sashima do Koran Sutra Jodi Mura? Or there is Zela. Shiva Bogoba, Shiva Boshingo by Do Shiji, then the Shilashile. Cause I do the Pumboda. He again a do that. So onju shibe na sunzu de nge she do she mudik shiba mudik shiba se kaji ge kaza tanga 유소 제디 제바보 메와 되다 많이 봐. 생내 섬섬 유 섬섬이 제바보 송송소 되는 지대 주발라 주대 주발라 수수니 나네 생이 주다마 이게 섬섬아 쳐다 되었다 시도 까네 섬섬이 때문에 메노 시 링데제 제 렌데라 링데제 렌데라 대다 통 까네 섬섬도 때문에 메노 시소 시 링데제 렌데라 대다 처마 다외샤지 렌데바 제도 통데다 주발에 뭐 이거 저 셔서 봐 시소 세제 되지 때도스 뭐 대자다 이거 어디 섬조이 때문에 근데 수다 차리셔서 요말이 섬모지 요말이 되게 해 말이스 디모이베 되는 링데제기 또가 뭐 링데제기 송샤스 반는 더가 송샤스 세서 거기 니가 시도해 봐 좀겨와 네 거기가 고바 드레샤 세서 최서 생이다 이세 말이 샘디 시바부조 샘디 손지 들대네 샘섬스 송을 뭐지 시도메 도마리 스타 도단데야 드디어
링덴지 치든 시시고 그러게.
레레 린데 시도 시바 태교지 말
So we're still on page 101. So the instrumental term or the word only, some or merely, as in the mind only, merely, does not mean to refute external objects such as form, sound, smell, taste, all of those things. The instrumental word only or the merely really it refutes that there is no other creator than the mind itself, right? Because in the many different schools of thought, they might accept Ishvar as the creator of the universe, or somebody accepts some kind of a person there, Kamsa, right? Purusha, right, who created the world. Or some says there is some called continuum, right, that created it. But in Buddhism, as we know, right, nobody accepts a creator there. Should there be a creator, then it has to be the mind, of the matter and mind. Mind is the primary, and karma is very much part of the mind. And that's how it should be understood. Then the word only should not be taken to refute, should not be taken to mean to refute external objects or external existing objects. And so this has been substantiated by the works of Baba Viveka, Lengdinche, as well as by Acharya Chandrakirti. The Chandrakirti is a Prasangika, and Baba Viveka, they both accept external object or external phenomena,
어디다 감수반 섬도모세야 되다 린데제시는 되게 싫어 가요 말이지
Nice.
진정동주 단 나잡으세는 되게 싫어 가는데 싫어 가는데 뒤에 사명 송을 말이지 얘도 말이지 여요 말이지 거기 너디 린데제시는 너 싫어 가요 말이지 나에서는 가야지 이 고배하고 되게 송을 까나 년가요 말이지
Kuba de jigden kuba po me sa dire kuba sigo wa.
나
Kuba de jigden kuba po so ba dige ba de.
다 주주디야 어주다 이 뉴샤메시아 주디데시와 보시다 고게들 여러와 드디어 고야 도달에 샘주 인들 된 샘주 뭐 이제 시도면 말이다 어때 고바도 고이지 말이지나 단다 리데시가 사지면 도티 시도 가요 말이지 리데시 가오리디 티 시도 가는 디고 디지အောင်그랬지 디지အောင်도 정동에도 뭐 여러 어째서
No. So it's interesting here. So both Baba Viveka, these are Indian masters, and Chandrakirti accept that there are external objects, external existing objects, hidden. Yeah? But the way they explain that instrumental word only in the mind only is really different. According to Baba Viveka, the instrumental word only in the mind only, it does not refute external objects. Okay, external objects do exist, so it should not be taken to mean that. But according to Chandrakirti, he said, yes, the instrumental word only seems to refute external objects, but it is not a definitive statement. It is a provisional statement or interpretive statement, you know. And why is it provisional? Because there are no creators such as Ishwar or the partless particles or some kind of universal principle out there, and because the whole universe is created by the karma that's related to the mind. And so how the Chandrakirti says, yes, for some reason, right, the word only refutes external, seems to refute external objects, but there's a reason. Really doesn't mean there are no external objects, but some intended disciples, right, who are sort of not ready to understand, who think, well, there is Ishwar, the creator of the God, then it means to say that, no, there is no such thing, Karma is the creator or the mind is the creator, right? Yeah.
我对的，多的场所的这就了，日本呢，头些有没有从把这边，对，从把这边日本的，唐波西家其都没有，我是店呢，西边的是没有，这了公所西边日本这个在了，龙的冷性夜里现在捏巴了，明白没有送啊的。上界的生下的，甚至在那样的说，写冷血与龙安美系统没法生成的这个用什么的创造的这个制度，这么是讲的就把上这类我是这边创造的这就多信仰，光这类送吧，那的中间的定义的就是属于的写作，系统没有这么多的。学呢，学我也要看一些呢，现在小孩有时候那个生意出不特别多的，里面那么小啥一这写作，一些的我他的故意要特别多的，小孩这么进步吧，这么进步不把呢，写作他都这么说的这么多的，多这些要吧来，他讲的。冲动是多冲动是多在学的时候，冲动这些开始干什呢？多这开始干什呢？干啥？有把上这类我这边冲动这多信仰，工作的时候那么的，中间的定义的属于的，写作写作没有的多这些，学的曾经我也没有高兴，写作希望用着。让这直播的们多这些，里面那么些个啥子车，现在一些的我他这边故意有这么多些，小这个行不吧？现在给他都这么送这么多些的，谁有不来是？我他的传统上现在，传统一弄的啥些啥的，这个是把传统这些多需要的是不是？是吧？
No.
我的开始是这个，过去送不进，现在头没有送不进，因为他都对我送的这个行，我这个的意思是，
Chandrakirti, 장도연 고도 라이데 사주베 도다 랑가셰베 도니가 러고르베.
那
장도연도 대고에 그 도데 사주베 도다 랑가셰베 도니가 니가
劳动说了多经常和这些，
니가로 장도연에 서고르베.
这长东送给很多的，
알레.
30万多送都收是吧？
알레.
但是甚至康说的甚至没啥的30万送是吧？
알레.
这30万多那样，30万多刚刚几万嘛是吧？
알레로 알레. 장도연 유에 되게 니가 나로 열었어.
哦也是，
손었어. 음, Two sutras have been cited in this text. One is the Dashabhumi Sutra on the 10 spiritual grounds of Bodhisattvas, and the other one is Langa Avatara Sutra, or the Descent from Langa Sutra, right? So in both sutras, there are passages, that require what we call interpretations, right? So the passages requiring interpretations are called Changden, or provisional discourses, or the interpretive discourses, where Geshe focus on is in the middle of page 102, that in the Chandrakirti, in his supplement to the middle way, Madhyamik Avatar, highlights these four different types of passages we could call discourses, which are regarded as interpretive or provisional, Changden in Tibetan. So the first one is that where, especially in that 10 ground sutra, where it seems like there are no external objects, isn't it? All the realms of existence are mind only. So that requires interpretation. That's a provisional statement, isn't it? That's one passage, right? There are no external objects. That's a provisional statement, kind of thing. Okay? The second one is where we talk about of the three natures, right? According to Chitamatrins, we have the dependent nature and the consummate nature, which I usually translate as thoroughly established phenomena, right? And they do exist truly, right? That requires interpretation, right? That's a provisional statement. Then the third one is, there is this Alyan Vijnan, or storehouse consciousness, different from, right, the other mental consciousness. So that requires interpretation. And then the fourth one is that there are some states which says as if there are three final vehicles, kind of ultimate vehicles, if you will. I don't know the word ultimate works here or not, right? The Tibetan word is Tartuva. Tartuva means final, right? So that requires interpretation, right? There are no three final vehicles, So these are the four discourses Chandrakirti mentions, which are provisional in nature, interpretive discourses. They do require interpretation. Don't take them literally, so to speak, right? Yeah.
Dharma nyame de ne de riwa ji dogri sa ji mar sia di tadu tu ba sumro josi da tene tadu ba ji de lu de dharma ina ko lenyo ja le mar de jina ninja de mo ja le ya ju los yori se ko sa ji ro tadu ya ina sim sa ji sa ji ro go esi do ya wa tadu ji ba ji do si ro di ke ja da
년대 되냐로도 그냥 제도냐로 걸어
라
년대 되냐로도 제도냐로 걸어 왜
레레
룽게처럼 삼삼을 타도 잡았음
디오디 다 타도 뭐 숨돌린 거리
노스
그 쉐바 저와 지보셔야지 누가 되는 거지 인생 속에 레지야 상지 레지 상지 말스도 어디서 다 거지
노스 상제 유디고 그러다
레 가이 상지 말스요 이제요
알아듣지
나 티고 쉐모즈는 가가 상지 예르르시 여시 말려고
노스 So with regard to a professional discourse that claims that there are three as a final yanas of vehicles, tebasum, right? Because there are those Vaibhashikars and Sautrantikas, as well as Chitamatrins who follow the sutras. They assert there are three final vehicles. Not everybody is going to be Buddha. Okay, some are going to be Arhat of the Sharvakas, hearers. Some are going to be the Arhats of the Pratika Buddhas. Yeah, some might become Buddha. Not everybody is going to be Buddha. So there are three final destinations, kind of thing. That does make sense? Okay. Whereas in the Madhyam, you can say, no, there is only one final vehicle, yana, right? Everybody, doesn't matter where you started, finally you all have the potentiality to be Buddha, right? Everybody can become Buddha. Nobody is lacking a Buddha nature, right? In some other school, they said, yeah, some don't have the Buddha nature, so you are not going to be Buddha. You might big arahats somehow. So that's the debate about, are there three final vehicles, destinations, or is there only one final destination kind of thing? Yeah.
我这他冲动之举着蒙我也说这些的。
Tanditi tangma digin langar shebegi lengden chegi kin namche da name sheg dikar sonde orge.
那
Lengden chegi dagi len she orwa gen.
嗯
Sem tsamba se tsamse dilia ani de komba de kan liya ani name orwa gen.
嗯，
Kada name da namche gi kheba shegu da dikar orge.
那么些地方人，还是啥，其实种的有没的没法收入。
Ale. Shiru tende yuna namche shegu orge.
哦对，
Ale. Shiru tende meda name.
哦对，
Nam se de ga yu ga number so shao so yu jeng number so.
我对，其实有时有些人那么的啊，没法说，其实没法说呢。
Ale. Ani chide me yapsa.
但是现在怕要收拾是吧？但其实有不行的，其实没经现在现在在西巴怕救是吧？
Ale shede kala da kasa lene jiga da namden digo ro wage. Nama cheba. Ale nama meba di mare stakda re yamso.
我那么也是收益。
Ale nama meba se digo mare sem chaba re se digo maso.
我这是
No, just for my own sake, I was asking Geshe that maybe he might explain later. Looks like he skipped that part where, as a part of Baba Viveka's, explanation of the instrumental word only, in the mind only, talk about, it looks like cognitions with, here translated as featureless and with features, right? The Tibetan word, number, usually we would translate as aspects, right? We don't translate as feature. And so Baba Viveka do accept external objects. That means that external objects such as form and sound, they serve as objects of the conditions, objective conditions for different cognitions. And for those cognitions, these objects do appear, right? So cognitions have aspects of the objects, right? And that's the whole debate, distinction about that. Yeah. So which means external objects do exist according to Baba Viveka. You cannot have a form perception without the form appearing to that perception kind of thing, right? Yeah. No.
我这里看他冲动之举的些有些搞的这些，他是这个送走下去。 可是呢，他都听我说下的，这个考完了教完之后是另外的上呢，别的你们教完了要么是，现在这什么，你们帮查一下，你这怎么跟我做呢？有些是旅嘛是说，慢慢想那些，咱们如果说，
那么些个搞如果别都没有想过，
那这个没办法，我是全面慢慢想的，这个没有的给是看没的，我是说了。
Geshe still want to explain a little bit more about this debate regard to are there three final yanas or vehicles, destinations, or just one final destination vehicle? And according to those who assert there are three final destinations or yanas, because their assumption is that not everybody is going to be Buddha, right? And so when you become an arahat, right? In other words, you have completely abandoned or uprooted delusions, then that's the end of everything, So there's nothing left to become a Buddha, right? That's it, end of, right? Period. That's why they said some are going to be arahats, some can be Buddhas, not everybody is going to be, right, the same eventually, kind of thing. Because in their perspective, once you become an arahat, right, because why we are taking rebirth, according to them, is because of karmas and delusions. When you have completely uprooted delusions, then you are not going to reborn anymore. You stop it completely, right? And your consciousness completely ceases to exist, just like we light a candle and we blow out the candlelight. The candlelight did not go anywhere. That's it, right? So once you become arahat, your consciousness ceases to exist, and that's the end of the story. So you have no chance to be Buddha. That's your final destination. So that's how they explain three final destinations, kind of thing.
我这个啥，他这个松州知道现在，那个 Karsa lül sava lema nyu go mari. Nishe mono ki janya yores. Ne dacha mazu nyu mena yang goma zo nishe de mono ki jale she. Le karsa sangye gres what is it?
And those who said that there is one final yana or vehicle or destination easy to understand, right? Because they said that, even the arahats, who have uprooted delusions completely, right? So you're not going to do that forever, right? Then out of compassion, your compassion is invoked. By the power of your aspirational prayers, you could still be reborn, right? Just to take rebirth, it doesn't mean you have to have delusions. There are other ways to be reborn. And so by the power of compassion, by the power of aspirational prayers and dedication, you can be reborn, and then you will take the path to enlightenment. So finally, you end up in Buddhahood. Everybody will be, right? That's why it's one final vehicle. Yeah.
我这些，你把成东这些你冷硬了，露出些不，东把你的没叫我的写作的这些，听你什么成东这些的呢？的呢，当年给英国那边到成都的，这是挺应的，当年英国这么多些人话的，可是什当年英国是这个。dümen be nama taati wa semgra ki shmoyo morsia ki kire ki odi ke tade ning bodo dosia di ne tangdong jeju ina tene langji de sumba hezo da no shwa jwa shwa tangdong jeju ni lujo gendo kundu so jeba changwi shir juba zanje de ma zhang jiang dong le yue da有的别个嘞头先那个我是别个嘞听不清楚这么说的对多过嘞多丢嘞听不清楚什么的多的可能嘞其实有能有没有时候这些说你点多是
Langshe ke shidi ke koma su juk sonora.
La.
Tanga langar seba na shidi shidi ke koma jung ke yang juk sonora.
Langshe ke sonora desi kasi.
Tangbo di?
Langshe ke sonora di kasi ya sonora kasi.
Tangbo di ke kada changdun yin tang di ke?
Langshe le dere ro, langshe le sonora kawa do.
Ala menbe neba la men tewa ne shinji tegi chay say zoro.
Tegi te injire. O de zare. Ta dine karsa se na. Tangsu na takde nyingbo tabi dosi di. Takde tesu ya shiro di. Diba chomden de di kiwe somba shizo da. Shiba changson chidi ni. Lushu ki dokun le tu suwa. Dokun le tu bar changbe shir. Jugba changde di ma changja thongda dote pe kar le. Tebon tada kewe songbe so. Rimbochi lingdi rimji che pe. Tabdu tiba. Tabdu tikba chigdi. Tiba so de. Dokun de le. Tikba chigdi seba. Dote kamali shiru no yu me. Shiru tsukji somji tendo osi.
Kente re ji kanang rona ke nge churgudu.
La.
Tanda di langar sabu jo rowa ge. Changdun tangbo di ke chikson rowa ge. Iba de re soma nge ke kang churgudu ge.
Ale. Karsa ta changdun dreji do siwar da kashi. Tanda dreji changdun do kashi shaswa.
La re.
Ta de dreji do di kari kasi da siwar.
Langar shebe she yin gosi.
Tezi.
Tangbo di changdun si de kawa jagwa. Tanda sem zam yin say di changdun she go rowa ge.
Da dire. Chomde de dengi di chuyu sunye de shiso shiru miwa tome do changdun ra dire.
Mara gen di tagi karsa.
Sinangi senyi nguwanyi ma kangshe na shiso shiwa yu ra zeyu chubar tobi doshi.
Gen di ki songsas gen di tanda pande dawe sonaya de rowa ge.
Dawa da lingda shi kanga si wo riwa.
Di diks gen.
但人们那么就啥差些的些关系程度这样的，
那你就是了。
现在他这个关系多的，小指望是他是对吧？就是送吧，
那你就是
送不送吧？
那你就是个。但是我的个，你啷个写不一样，写的就听不到，你光么就个。
哪个习惯送下些的个，你把程度这人多，你把程度哪个就送在这人下。连边那么几把啥差些的嘛这定下来，可是过去些吧，程度这样的。
咱这个的啷个写不上了，样的写送不到啊个，的热的这个干嘛呢？那个啊，苦苦没得个的，啷个写个汤不的个长短一把的罗个，多的卡的是这个了，面包也是别下，可是什么的个，
那
面包别的下那的，可的个长短汤不的卡哇加过了。
就是冲动这样多写下，这就多写下多。
那
对，汤不的开程度这个水这个是对人家，可是中央公职送吧，那对，中间的定义是就送人，其实没有这么多程度，这是对人的。
嘛个的当嘛的就是个，
那
当嘛的送啥是个就是个，
是
的看的嘛，啊了个的那。
中间的定义的就是送人这样的，可是这个是呢，其实没有什么多的程度，这个认识。
那是。
对，中间的定义的就是的，也写作的多的。这呢，以前我看现在写作这都相应的地方没有什么多的程度，这我的多的上个认识。
那是。
他那边那么喜欢啥这写作，这个是呢，促出他的过去那些的程度这个认识。
那是。
他的呢。多等，小只把几部分呢写作，他都对吧？小只把几部分呢，上些他就说吧，这个那上些啥我都没写，我的到底上头这样的就是，可是小只把几部分呢写，我听到听整个这是个事。
Okay, bear with me. I think that's somehow Geshe is not hearing me. I will. We already talked with that. Maybe the next will come, right? I don't understand the next in the descent one. I was telling Geshe, can you explain every one by one so that I don't mess up? But then he went back to the previous one. Anyway, so let me just quickly what we ran through, right? Already. Based upon Chandakirti's place, there are 4 different passages we call discourses as provisional or interpretive discourses, right? And the first one is, where the word only in the mind only is really not to be understood as refuting external objects, right? But it is to be understood as mind is the primary, right? And so we dealt with that. So Geshe was trying to explain how when Buddha was in the state of absorption, right? So he must have made that provisional statement, The second one is, regarding the natures of phenomena. And so that interpretation has to do with how dependent nature, Xianwang, and consummate nature, Yongdup, thoroughly established phenomena, they truly exist, right? And so that's another passage. Then the third one has to do with where Chitta Martins assert that more than 6 consciousnesses, there are 2 more. And the one is the basic consciousness or storehouse consciousness, Aliyan Vijnan, but that requires interpretation. And the last one, which Geshe explained quite a bit, has to do with is there one final yana or destination, or are there 3 final vehicles, right? So now hopefully Geshe will go down slowly to the next part. That's where I was asking him actually. Yeah. No skin.
我这程度移动之后，这个也是某有关，可是现在，那刚上是什么门照的，看着刚往中门照月上，刚刚几把经叫送来嘛是吧？都是陪读可小的，那个的培养送，这送这送来那程度移动是对，那些某用个这用是吧？但可我问题是可能刚刚上届前届刚刚看出现在这个的。 成都也是干些嘛是吧？这刚开始不按照中嘛是吧？现在这所对些个在成都也总是这样子的。
So why, we do talk about this distinction between the Tibetan words changye. Changde means interpretive or provisional, and Gaden means certainty or definitive, right? So this is more like, the way I'll translate, it's like from pedagogical perspective, if everything can be talked about exactly as Buddha sees it, then we do not need this distinction of provisional and the definitive, But as a part of guiding different disciples with different mental dispositions, so Buddha, under different circumstances, for certain intended disciples, right, for some other reasons, right, then Buddha would make a statement. But that does not cover everybody, right? Maybe that's not the truth of the matter, right, in general. And so there are provisional statements, isn't it? There are things which is meant for everybody, so to speak, that at a certain level, so then those are the definitive one, right with me? So I think from the disciples' mental disposition point of view, so Buddha end up saying different things under different circumstances, different reasons, and that's why, so we have to deal with this distinction between provisional discourse and definitive discourse. Otherwise, if Buddha would talk exactly the Buddha is saying it, then we don't have to deal with all these distinctions. Yeah.
What is that? Shiba did that. Tadu was some Tangong did. Literally, Dokul Devasin, Dokul Devasi, what did some is what did some. Langarshik the table, Tada Keve, Sombeso, Rimbush Lindi, Remy J. Pay, Tatu, take what you do to them, so there. Dokul to less, take what you do. Seven, Dote, Tuma, Le Sumbi, Shero, Shizo, Sun, did us, and Jubale, Dote, quand the children Shizo, Siji, Sumbi, then to us, Daddy, almost go to hear when you are. What did he say?
Dikin Langasha Badelagan, Kanga of Shidowagan. Dikin read it to Karnathun again, and the Kosashan Kosama. The Langasha Badelgan, Pina Rijirwage, Langasha Badelaya, Tagi Diktama Delia can the Tangdeng Doshitang Wagan. Then I shall Langasha Badinale, Yan Tangajam Shirich Matungo again. Or the read it again Kanangona.
Sorry, Langashiwa.
Tango Delia Kajaga Langasha Bane, any. Tangzhen delia membe peshan di jikson de de kason de organ
La
tango de membe peshan di jikson de again
Nimbo en shi dodo jomden de ye se dongoro de mo se ka de jugwa chang de le ngo de me chang dun ji so yang gong zhi song ba nam yin de jomden de ding yi zhi ju song ye ji xie ye so yi确呢真因为有些写作喜欢有种点着点嘛。
你嘛的跟杨家也拍视你把的罗个，
那
出去也不能。我先试试这差多少件。어디 내는 말이야. 당고 대도 하게. 당고 되는 말 저러 하게. 니바 대도 하게. 좀 어디 레드 지게 갔다.
다 당고 대래 가지 그 가르차. 다들 대봐 당고 대래 미래. 감들 좋아 소송바 남대. 이제 해서지 치료를 받으면 더 상소해야지. 당고 대래다. 당보 장소 제주는 나 장빌랑히 도세 디시
디가 그랬게
라
당보디 그랬어
당보디 치료 메봤다면 좋았어
알레디 아니 멤버디 가진 배셔고 멤버 배셔고도
니빠에
멤버 배셔고도
라
멤버
明白。
我常被人写给弄来了哇个，其他年巴拉少的，年巴拉少来的。
而其他你们没动的，可是长长的能性，长不长寿这是能用这个，其他你们的说学说唐谁的，许多时候他你的真的，路上学不是。诚意没给我的学说，书包长寿这意思，这是要这个啥？哦，书包这是吧？估计收入了些都估计那么小是吧？这些，我这里是的，当天你不得很多长寿这是因了，真的冷血的上天的也多学吧，上天的提议会送把学说的，七八长寿人这是那他是就把这个东西，都是就多过了对了。长白写，对他说对吧？就是什么长春这些，我们都是有多过的对吧？天天送下去。
你今年送去这个大马的今年送的也对过我了。
人他这个的杨家写的，但是他们写好的是，是的，但是西北的长看着是杨家的长我的是一般的一般写完了。
当过的年巴了一百家就讲了7点没来的，
我对的，
年巴了百家的写的是我了。
他这多的个人，知道那边没有动啊，但是啊的，谁都有的，谁都没法说啊，就那边可能没人说，那边可能那啥的没这个，这情况是是吧？
我这个来的是什么？我这是那个补的，先补的给你。
我对，
啊，是补的给什么？
现在那边是谁都有啊，那谁都没法说，还是现在这可是是，可人家收入看都没法对生活没有些了，不给，我那就刚刚看到下要嘛这是。是吧？那把可能那才没这个嘛，可是没真这个嘛是吧？第几是吧？其他那把现在这个是吧？第一上节我们要送下这些，他真的
也来得及看。
那
那来得及就是说的，今天处处这个。
哎呀呀呀呀！
That's all episode was is all getting messed up. Because there's four things here again, four things we already have, right? That's why it's time to untangle it. So now I think I'm trying to figure out again the first, second, third, fourth. It goes back to the four things we already cited earlier, right? And so the first one it says the first is explained to be provisional in the meaning in the text from the descent into Langa cited above in the way that a physician and da 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 da, right? So I was asking this, can you explain one by one so that I understand? So finally, hopefully. So what this is, remember, the first point is that according to Chitamatrans, there are no external phenomenal objects, right? Because the word only in the mind means that everything is in the nature of the mind, there are no external things. But that's not the meaning here. And so here the example given is just like an expert physician really has to take into account the sickness conditions of a patient, isn't it? What kind of medication need to give, what needs to be prescribed, isn't it? So like that, like in order to guide like those who are not ready for such things, so it is as if there are no external objects, right? But in reality, there are external objects. Right? Just like a physician would prescribe different medicine and say different things to different patients, right? In the same way, Buddha made such statements. So that's the meaning of first one, right? Then again,
那一般人干什么？小有的让谁没说送下这个钱，而且可是送把那面的中间的中间学说一趟不等，确实以前我们还看见的学说，小有的生意没做的么多，挺意思。那没叫啥，我的小有的这些。平常这个生意吃吧是吧？的买这吧是，这平常这个生意没说什么多的成功这样的。
Ale shama yungdu tongpa de saidi chongde re.
我的什么路上有让生意出会是吧？
Ale tongpa de saidi chongde de alo.
我这
Igi
是
ma de
是，
saidi chongde re.
我这是
Igi
我，
de se.
我这是我说，
So the second one where it says, Mahamati, emptiness and non-arising. That's what I said. So all this part of it. So without explanation, we don't understand what's going on there. That's why I'm slowing down each other. Just right there. Earlier, right, in terms of the natures of phenomena, so what said is that dependent nature and consequent nature truly exists, is it according to the margins? So where we talk about emptiness and non-arising, right? Emptiness means that dependent nature has to be emptiness kind of thing, but that has a provisional because dependent nature does exist truly, and dependent nature does arise. It's not a non-arising, right? So that it is a provisional, right? That's how it has to be understood. So hopefully that helps. So I help. So
他什么的估计那些收入他的估计有些的长东这样的个人身体啊，两边哪怕几把30 我听的，收入他的估计把生活长东这样多听一些。
Tadi kan tak tu ni pun saya sana kasih orang.
当天宁波是呢，
Alu pun sih kalau tak buat tak mesti solo.
嘛，当天宁波是的，他可是这些宁波是就是吧？
Lo.
了解为宁波是是吧？
Lo.
我就是说，
Di kan.
了解宁波是呢，我不仅这就是我说，上街上就是有样说这这是的。
Di changde solo.
哦，对，他成都是吧的，他在宁波这么多的成都带嘛带呢，你过去有把时候到的成都这个意思，现在平他那的现在的这个是吧？哦对，但是你不到的过去我你去把中国他，
Ale tahu ni mesti saya di kan. Kamu biasa ni mesti saya di malu.
哦，他在这么着这的，
So what happened? Oh, you took out or I took out? Oh, I see. Thank you. So the third provisional discourse we had earlier has to do with, the storehouse consciousness that's different from mental consciousness and other consciousnesses, which is provisional. And a parallel to that is, where the sutra sometimes talks about as if there is what we call some kind of a nature that is permanent and very stable. Takton Tirsulchen. In other words, in some sutras, it looks like as if, every sentient beings have some kind of nature that you're already Buddha, but you're not. That is a provisional statement. It's not the same as Tathagata Garpa, okay? Something similar to that. Like you're already Buddha there, but that's not really, that is a provisional statement. It doesn't mean you're already Buddha, Yeah, so that's the third point. Shivadi.
So the Buddha nature here refers to consciousness. This example,
The Buddha.
nature
Mm-hmm.
storehouse consciousness.
The Sanjay read the Kunshi Lechikura Karasa, the Kapdarshana. Sanjay read the Kunshi said the Sanjay real Kugor.
那
The Kunshi says your Wagain. The Sanjay real Kunshi Squadigor Karasa.
当天是
So you're not translating that permanent as a Buddha nature, right? You use the Buddha. No.
So among the people spoken by this example, it's a example quite comparison. From the among sutras spoken, the blessed one taught the Buddha nature, and so on. This is just an example. So the Buddha nature here is refers to
Oh. Is there a word Buddha nature here?
Yeah. The Buddha nature.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I see. Is that so? Is that the storehouse concept? Is that what you're saying? Right.
This concept.
Right. Then the cup delia again. Sanjay gi rik lae dia. Ani kunshiliya kogore slagu arwa again dina.
那
Cup delia ro again. Sanjay rik se chudu again. Dia kunshila kotigo arwa sa again. Dina chik do again.
人才估计了空儿的，把这人才块老些的，估计有些的，可是知道估计要么的也把店里的，
Margin daga page 6 again. Di chuwa tengo again.
那
Page 6 paren again. Sanjay rik se chudu again. Di cup delia kunshila kogo arwa sa again.
一大点，
是不是？ Langar Sebole, Chomden de Dojo Bolesa, Chomden de Tishin Shebi, Nimbo, Ale, Tishin Shebi Nimbo said. Ale, or deep Nishal Kogo.
that he Nimbo said, this is Jeda Kushil.
Kapdel Kunshal Kogo.
Da didn't the heat Nimbo said, Dodge Usarwa. Or did a Guji Tong Jani, when you check what of Shani. The Nimbo Tong Jay, then the Guji Tong Jay, so dear love of you can done. Couldn't that he did a Guji short. The Kaja Guji, or the Kaja. And the heating was here. When you thought that, because I didn't hold it.
Them the inner Kumaris word.
Or that here the second year share. In a queen chickbody doors.
Ale, there come the
Or then what Damada, Gushi Demani, chickbody carries and then what Tonton Java then Gushi Dema Tonton is somewhere wrong.
That's position to go. Yeah, so here in this conversation, right? I think they translate Buddha nature. I don't know why. Because I walked. I think they translate as Buddha nature, right? Because in the Tibetan word, it is actually the combination of Tathagata Garbha, the essence of Tathagata. That's how it is, right? When I translate Tibetan Buddha nature, it's like, what? So I have to get out there to show him, but it's a different word there. Yeah. Yeah. So some says that, right? So that's question. Mostly.
Oh, this is not the carriers, you know.
Dine Tama di working. What chicks did the Gumbulugi, Dogundi lesson, sir, again.
That was shoes. That was super set on the dog, good dog shot.
So the fourth point is, relating to whether there is one final vehicle or destination or three. So where is that mentioned? It's mentioned in Arya Nagarjuna's, here they translate as anthology of sutras. Usually I translate as compendium of sutras. It comes to the same thing, right? So in that, there's mention of like some schools assert three final vehicles. Yeah, no.
Oh, dear. Jubakas de Jubarandekas, Dokudi Tom did the Tondaji what is.
No, sir.
Dokudi is more soon.
No, sir.
Or that. Garza. Majang Jang Tona, do de Pegalle, Devota Keve, Songbe so, removing the she was the most was okay, go table said that. When the song had 2 degrees things like that. Then the Remji TV pay, Tibaji do what they so they say, Tatu Tibaji draws it. Tatu Tibaji draws the Temo to the bigger. Just don't know longer to the end of the Langar of the desert, there's a corn door with the Kadu, there's a Kadu Dra Yamara.
No.
Or take Temo came at the Chibanization, Sanjaya. And these are some years I really go on the shed, tell the Tibaji so consumed of some yes.
No, so. Al Tebengi Nubeling tried the Miso Japsa.
They won't give a nobly the Kadu consumers just do the Kadu Hudra Yamara.
They told you to have a jig to Jedro again. Told you to have a chicken, but do Jedro.
What did they tell you?
So where we assert there is one final vehicle or destination. The example given is that of what called the expert guide to the island of jewels, and sometimes there is no necessarily a straight path to the island. So an expert guide will take their merchants, and then they might have a rest place there, right? Rest, and then they go to the next rest place, and then finally they end up there, right? Their whole goal is to fetch the jewel from the jewel island. So like that, different vehicles are there. Finally, these are all meant for us to be taken to the Buddhahood, right? Yeah.
So to the Jubale, the Dekan, Shiranayim, he is so Siji, Somji, Tendo, say that is it. That never wrong. La, she don't tell you to kill in Juni. 10 years, simple about 但是都他也这样，毛主席写吧，毛主席写吧的把这个写嘛，重新与面送吧，这不这样，这点一他也来的，我们也对呗，重新一个月吧查询，当中是个在那重新一个，这不能啦。这可能你我是这个老外跑给娘下的，所以呢，婆婆我下也民众啊送给些日挂上，农业用你多的，婆婆我下也个让些准备当把的，我没兄弟，你婆婆我下让些生意去做，生意了稍微过呢，那娘们店了阿伯。同心意呢，与面见面呢，见面这块，如果是，但这里个其中有没，希望上有啥的这个嘛的，今天他也是呢，你希望要的这其中要的，他样子呢，同他把现在你希望要嘛的，你其中要嘛的，你看没有的，现在的希望同他把也是，你其中没啥的这个嘛的时候，得中国他。
So we are on page 103, now moving to the second point as a part of Prasangika's response to the Chittamatrin's argumentation or contention. So the second point is translated here as how external objects are asserted in the system of Prasangikas. So Chittamatins are saying that there are no external phenomena, right? Whereas cognitions are truly existent, and Prasangika is saying that doesn't work, I mean, ordinary people, right? Ordinary people assert that both perceptions and objects exist, so here I think the way it's translated is Prasangikas establish the coextensive presence or absence of objects and cognition. Right? I think the easy way to, because I'm doing oral translation, easy way to say that is that both objects and their perceptions, either both should be equally existent or they should be both non-existent. That's what it means. The whole that fancy word about co-presence thing, right? Yeah.
So
Geshe would like to stop there and would like to entertain your questions there. So we will first go to our Dharma friends in the cyberspace, and then we'll come back. Do we have some question there? If not, we can start here and then they might ask.
Okay. Let me go over here and go back to that question. Questions here.
Okay. Kate here. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe, for your teaching. I've been practicing, so my question will be more succinct today. I'm wondering if, with the knowledge of interdependence and dependence, how can an arhat be truly like all-knowing or all-wise without compassion being part of what they're believing? Do you know what I mean? Like, how could you be all-knowing without? Yeah.
Okay.
My question.
Mora kan share the gang three sungje na batho chena shiro sa roage
La,
gang sungje na ba kadin chi shwe yin sa mora thewa de de sha ta karsa gore ta chamba se go roage ta ba jin de ta chamba se go roage an yin de ta chamba de ga de kanga lo ta me kheba yin kheba ge bo shi bu ro sa roage ka nyomo bang sa roage yin kheba ge bo se din de 칭기 예외데 아니 닝지 매버데 가르쳐면서 닝지 로하게 시행을 매비 닝지 매든 거 가르쳐면서 로하게 다시베 시외잉을 팀 두고서 딕스기면 어려하게.
닝제가
닝지 심어 매번 가르치면서 완전 닝지 유효과를 둬서 남중 냠낸 시대로 하게.
다 지정시 닝제세의 개카가정으로 디고 신부는 제거로
노선.
제가 그 능력들의 유주시야 타와도도 강갈 저는 레라요로
노선.
다 심지 던져서 살 거야 되게 시들 심지 장감해시 강가 깔리 가야다 가고 싶어로
노선. 지난 닝지 유주 열어봤어. 니들 가져 말.
심어요 말이죠. 그게 그는 이제 심어요. 그게 이제 세야 말이지. 이제 그게 그게서는 이제 듣고는 배디가 누가 이게 저거서 그 뽑아줘도 요 말이지. 이제 심어도 요리디. 그래서 심지어 누가 이게 배 콜도 박사고서 뽑아줘 요 말이지.
So when you said arhat, of course I translate in terms of Sharvakas and Pratika Buddha arhats, okay? Those who only seek nirvana or peace. First case I want to clarify that, they do have compassion. The point we are saying, they don't have a great compassion, right? That's general statement, And with so much knowledge, of course, they uprooted the delusions, they know so much, so how come they don't have that great compassion? Now we change the question. It's because relatively great compassion is harder to cultivate, and because it's a part of Mahayana path, great compassion means compassion extended equally towards all beings, right? Nobody's excluded here, So that's much harder to be cultivated. Because when they think about it, they say, oh my gosh, right? This all sentient beings, that's too much, Yeah, I can handle so much, but this is too much. So that's how they don't have a great compassion. Then, of course, there is whole debate with that. Generally, people would say that Sharavaka Arhats don't have great compassion. But then some text authors of the monastic universities, they might say, Sharavakas do have great compassion. They don't have what we call the compassion that is accompanied by the personal responsibility taking. They don't have the, I'm going to do everything to help all beings out of samsara, right? They don't have that. They don't have that confidence. They do have great compassion, they said, but they don't have that, responsibility, willpower driven compassion that I will do it, right? So there are those different perspectives. Yeah. Anybody else who would like? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one of the questions is, do the Chittamatrans feel they have the final view regarding subtle existence of mind?
Do the Chittamatrans feel they have the final view on what?
On the subtle existence of mind.
Subtle existence of the mind? Okay. 大家在那跟着学的，甚至把古兰中的单那话个，甚至把的古兰这个对不起的话个，大话的嘛是朗着的，个 same 差别的话个，你录的在古兰中过去的什么听过的啥？古兰中的大别呢？但 same 个你same 差别的话个 ，same 差别的大别古兰中写不大概的意思，别古兰中的第一波把的学的啥？
这不是原因。
啥？ 얘네 딱 딱다 레드고 뭐지 걔디 그사 샘자바기 걔 샘차바 거 시그르 베게
라
샘차바 내저 거 시그르 베 샘자바기
말다 그런 야 내가 알고 걔디 걔다 가라 그런 시는 그런 그 베니지 디마디 그런 시야디 인상도 그런 데디 가면 돼
얘네 야 텐주병원 때는 건저 샘기 내지데 난다 딱다 차요 말어 와게
다다 야 시다 시디 진짜 소동다야 다다 차요 말어
So what Geshe Phuntsok says is, yes, Chittamatrans themselves might feel, right, they have the final kind of viewpoint or the say on the, including the subtle mind, right, from their perspective. But then if you look from some other school's point of view, they may not have it, right? Yeah.
One question. It says, when the student says, my Taoist, like the Taoism. My Taoist friend is asking if practicing loving kindness or compassion risks reinforcing belief in an intrinsic self.
Okay. The target on the shedding jiggy, the Lagudus again, that Shenlia was a chant that Yingji in the Comber again. The Comber Digi and so circuit Tawa de Benaranshin Juba tawa zinde ina wage ranshi robe zimba de shukcher dugur besa shenli ya ning kom dinde sem sangbo komba ina
la
shenli ya chamda ning komba wage digi ane ranshi robe zimba yor wage te yang chik shukcher robe dinde dugur res go sarge
인제 공연에 로이 좀 누구래가지고
zimba de shukcher dugur be dinde chik res go
누구래가지고
니거 res mada zimba de shukcher dugur weske
아
zimba ko dante dur so
점인제 공연에 로이 좀 쇼셔 누구래
tam robe dinde dugur
뒤ton데 뺏어 그러면
no say yeah. In general, of course, I didn't use the word Taoism, but the question is that, by cultivating loving kindness, compassion, is that going to exacerbate belief in the intrinsic reality, right? Geshe say, I don't think so. Then if that happens, it's a real disaster, No. The answer is no. Simple. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Need for clarification. About the difference between Bhava Viveka and Chandrakirti.
Yes. Sure.
So it was said that both say that both Bhava Viveka and Chandrakirti, according to both of them, the world only does not refute external objects.
Both, does it say here?
No, that's what Geshe said.
No, both. Geshe said both assert external objects, right? But the way they explain the only is different.
Well, that's
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's
both assert. Both assert external objects.
The question is what the word only. I'm not saying about what in that passage earlier.
Right.
The word only, according to there's a difference.
Yes.
It was said that there's or rather the same. They're the same. That according to both of them, the word only in the sutra does not refute external phenomena.
Oh, no. Chandrakirti says it does, but that's provisional, he said. Yes, it does.
Okay.
But provisional,
yes. Yeah. All right, that's clear.
That's
all right, that's the answer.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Question? Oh, at the back, sure. Thank you. And then we can come back,
I'm new to this, so
Sure.
it's about the karma and tying it with consciousness.
Yes.
So I've also heard it defined as action and more causal
Yes.
relationship. And
Yeah.
I couldn't help to think about the rice seedling.
Yes.
A maple tree doesn't grow into a pine tree.
Right. Yes.
So is there senses that karma needs a context? So like you can't, how do you form a mountain from consciousness? Because then it seems like you start getting into this trap of a creator. Like there's a consciousness that's driving formations of material evolution. And I guess I'm a little confused. And is there a context in which karma is taken depending on the text, almost like in a tenet system?
Okay, sure. Quran 드린 대 사발 차대 서로하게 Quran 드린 송제대 Quran 라데 사발 차대 그도하게 이나 Quran 컨디션에 디리사 그래서 먼저 레요하게 레 세겐디 타기 삼벨레다 삼벨레라하게 삼벨레라 되게 룽하게 레로하게 지도 간라야 Quran 치와데 디리사 아니 다 레게 제벌 쓰고로하게 세대 간라야다 탐제기 규데 레 차위나서로하게 배나 레치기 배나 리첨부된데 칸데 차투고로하게 딱 간저 배나게 뭐버로 치고나 빼디셔도 와 그다음다 간저 뒤에밖에 가서 설루 장배도 로하게 설루 장배도 요하게 디 데기 뉴고레 데기를 마도 게 초치기 말사이처로하게 로하게 제대 간라페게 치기 균대를 차샤면은 대기거래 그래서디 내기로 하게 이내 다들 레디 근데 가서 디마르와스게 숙제 마르와스라게 자 레를 때 리라와 한김 되는데 첨부 되는데 간에 차르고 디 데세시로 나서 다 레디 가서 그래 뉴주기 규차단디
근데 레서데 다들에 거기에서 레서는 선배이지 그러면 거기에서는 나타나면 가서 소샤거리
아네
거기서는 되게 되고
자, 수고라는 게 가요는 수수거로다.
나
수고라지가 가요는 수수거로.
소위 생겨요. 대교도 소위 지라마가 소위 소말 대교가 소위 소위.
알로 선서.
다 런지버 semjo디 레디 히바디 책문제.
Kendi tıkanan deskor sebçamın bana leji sadi pakca del sö tamne en tigers di deşe keno ko des komeyon ge. Ye maji ko le koran ji 당고 koran le koran du stokda ga ge rich kro kan gib cha dong sen kenza cha ro ge.
Dedi 말다 dedi 제가 무슨 소리 내가 양해 좀 가르치다 줄 거 이해하시는 거 통제야 되고 있는 양해 거좀 처음 보여야 돼요. 이게 그 통수 거예요. 되지 말다.
맞네.
또네 거로 셴 그 듀드 매우 셴 계산적으로 해야 돼요 말아.
노서.
소 두샤시 듀미요 그러면 계산적으로 말아.
노서. 다이네게 레알 때는 칩 차단데 간다 차로 간다.
나
레알 때는 디두 용단데 나서 겐 고쳐야 저러 하게. 레알 때는 칩 쿠리오 그 리더와 강김 되게 강 루단데 간다 시작보네.
대대 사실 이거 다그 네바데 당 가리가리 거 네바 나도 거의 들어가가 거의 뭔가 집어도 되네 되게 가가 네바 열어
딜레 간다 서로다.
레다 거의 집어도 다 빨하지야도 belgi야 상동 거로
뭐 하게 하게 쿠리드 여베지 소소 하게 레사전 쿠리들 깨두고 마도 소소 레디 쿠리드 준 거라게.
라
나라베지 게 하유디 기부르스 여러 하게. 제대가 하게 레사베는 가 쿠리디나 기여로 하게. 마도 쿠리딩에 레기 체셔저왜.
뭐
말하게.
뭐 그러게 네 코로나디 그 소소 레시어 뭐 소소 이게 깨야 돼 소소 레디 시고로
네 코로나 가르쳐다.
라
네 코로나 지등 그 레노.
소금세는 네가 내가 감도가 내가 그 수제는 계속 열어
알아. 네 지등
내가 그래서 가서 자가 저거서나 소소 모자도 나올 지금 너무 내가 소리 리그 말아
몰라네.
어쨌든 이 리그 저거로 뭐 자가 커피 유효 가라
So 지등 그 레그 룰라션 디고다. I just want to make sure how to give answer that makes sense to your questions. Karma is a big concept in Buddhism. So what Geshe says, is that the karma. Sometimes earlier we said karma can be divided or classified into two. One is the intention part, right? Intentionality. The other is the intended one, which is the action, right? More like the speech action or the bodily action, And so in the Buddhism, we create all kinds of good and bad karmas, and then they leave their imprints on our mind. And when these imprints get activated, then all kinds of good and bad results come up, right? That is the explanation of how things happen. And as part of that, Geshe is saying, say, if you do a very good job in the world, right, then you will get recognition, right? That recognition is a result of your good job, good karma, And if you do something bad, then, you might get a punishment, So it's, ordinarily speaking, something like that, So as I told Geshe, it seems like easier to understand, how karmas bring all the suffering and happiness of the feeling experiences we have. But how does that karma work with external environments? That's why I'm asking. That's what Geshe is saying. It is not as if the environment in which you find it is the creation of your karma. But you have created karma to be born in that environment, isn't it? That environment is a result of collective karma, sort of thing. So the example Geshe has given is that of a divine paradise, right? And we all believe that paradise is a very happy place, And so I was asking Geshe, so I was just to get a clear answer to it, because I said, Geshe, if I created good karma to be in the paradise, and then I'm going to be in that environment, I enjoy it, right? But is that paradise a result of my karma, right? It's not that your particular karma has created it. That environment is part of the whole collective thing. But you created a karma to be in that environment and enjoy it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that.
I think more simple, like formation of the world.
Right.
Like a mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I said it. I think from Buddhist point of view, it's not so much as I was saying, how this mountain comes out of karma, right? It's a little hard. It's not so much the mountain is a result of our karma, I mean, one's own karma, but the mountain is part of the environment, isn't it? The human world. And we created karma to be born in the human world. And so that's how it is. But then we think these mountains and the rivers, everything is a result of something called collective karma, right? All the human beings, our joint karma create all these mountains and waterfalls and the good and all bad part. That's what it's saying. Yeah. So a little bit, yeah, hard. Yeah. 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 So, yeah.
That's how.
Right. So, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get an answer. Right. I'll come back to you. Right. So again, legi, when read our kangim delia, dibuk mindang chigen chisum gusar again. Tangazo Kuru Rabcho again. When a neg less Sabbath digi, when not as a reader rawa the kangim de get the kanga contest to Boreso, a lady. Kitchen. Or did do that again? What's the get cheating leg contest to go? That's a read our kangim de get. No. In a matter that did do that, the lady, when a metal Sabin again, this metal could several in the mouth with Tigro again. Then I see cheating the lady read our kangim the contest to go, rest of that lady. No. Oh, did it? I'll meet you late Takarangi, the in the Korea, the contest lady contest can do it. So the most another of saying again, the share with the again, the guy to do so the share again. That one didn't tend to be a lady created our hanging the contest chavers again. Okay, so I'll translate what was Geshe. I think I'm not getting exactly as we are asking, right? I don't know, maybe Geshe is thinking in different sense. He said that when we create a karma to be in a particular environment, let's say in the human world or divine world, that one karma, because it's also related to the environment too. It's not just one's own life, you know. And the example Geshe gives is that, if you have a seed to grow something, of course, your goal is to get the fruit, but what comes with it is the plant and the leaves and the branches and everything. You did not create a karma for a branch and a leaf, everything. It's a package kind of thing, isn't it? That's what he's saying. But of course, he still didn't explain how the karma, it really manifests as a mountain and rivers, right? So I couldn't get an answer. Yeah.
I was going to put in my 2 cents about that from reading a long time ago a book by Changpa Tronggyam. How do you say his name? Chogyam. I got it backwards. Trungpache. He speaks about karma and not just like intentions and with the consciousness, but also on a spatial aspect, the environment itself, where there's be like textures to the spatial aspect of the mind. The mind will have a texture, or it will have we speak about a mind being bigger or narrower, expanding and contracting.
Right.
So I would think that maybe on a collective level, some of us will have this like expanded mind and will experience our mind, like the expansiveness of our mind would create an expansive space, or the narrowness, or maybe the more compassion and kindness will create the moisture and the rivers and things like that. This is where I'm going out there, okay?
Right, sure.
But this is a maybe answer. But there's something to think about that. If we're going to bring in the collective of how this environment is appearing like that to all of us, or is it formed like that? But maybe there's something to it from a spatial aspect of the mind. Maybe.
I think, hopefully during my lunch, I might be able to pursue that question and see if we get another answer next time around, okay? So I have a lot of, the final, okay, there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Then I have prayers and announcements and
This is kind of like a second part to that first question regarding the Taoist friend.
Yes.
So he's asking, why isn't compassion considered redundant or not necessary if a person practices wisdom of emptiness and understanding of interdependence?
Can you slow down because I didn't get the whole part. Why
isn't compassion considered redundant?
Why is compassion what?
Redundant, basically not necessary. So he's
there's no need for compassion?
Yeah. So
What is the redundant?
So yeah, he's saying, why is it not compassion considered?
No, what is redundant with?
Redundant with? Well, he's basically saying, yeah, if he's saying if you already
wisdom of emptiness,
if a person
is that the question? Wisdom of emptiness end up in the compassion redundant? Is that the question?
Yeah. So basically, if someone practices wisdom of emptiness, why is compassion even necessary?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's not a redundant. Yeah, that's actually not making sense to me. But anyway, thanks. Now that's a very clear question. This is what again. Tony to be share up the project lamro again. Tony to be share up to go to come to the ninja come qua carriage and chat or again. Tony to be share up to go to come to the jigger was wage. Ninja the engine come qua with the legato or chas at the that did two other more again. In a deep way, in a that you can generate Ninja member again, Tony to go come Taro top to win. You might that. But need to kill a minute. No, so. I let the Tarvaja was going, Tony the Shadow to come then to go again. Deal hard. But what Geshe wants to say is that, well, if your only goal is to be able to find nirvana peace, that may stand true. Right? There's no need for a compassion necessarily. But then if you want, right, to be enlightened, there is no other way without compassion. The way that question comes to Geshe-la's mind, maybe sometimes I should translate as he said it, but sometimes I'm sensitive not to offend someone here. But maybe I should. It is very effective. He's like a Kandaba Geshe. He'll say things straight. He said, the question sounded to him is like that. Okay, I'm hungry and I can drink coffee and then I feel filled. Do I need to eat meat, food, right? He said, yeah, you need to drink coffee. You also need to eat lunch, food. He said, it sounds like that, right? It's not does it mean for him? He said, yeah, without compassion, how you can ever be able to become a Buddha, right? Yeah, you can snack and feel full, but still you need to eat food, right? Yeah. Okay, let's, I have, again, I come to share you again. Where is my witchy thing? Oh, here. I have prayer requests and announcements. Can say that share that come to share in the again. The Sera did it and again Tanju land that get the again. I'm gonna share the Jamju share the can set at them on look to Ning Bachide. Jill and Salsa, more structure Chinea, none of Mengan Chin the wagon. Or deal to make Jamjon on us again. Then set at them by Rena, the Bena Gauchen singer to Namits or Jamjon on us. Tell it there, Bikel Gauchen, then she just should win said wagon. They said it. The Jamjon on us again. So I have been asked to make sort of a reminder announcement, so to speak, here, which is all of these things are on our website, www.GSTDL.org. If you go to the calendar section. So on the 13th and 28th of this month, we have scheduled for the Vajrayogini self-initiation, self-empowerment, right? So the reminder is that as a part of Vajrayogini self-empowerment, we also have to do talk offering. Okay, and so once you're done with that, on the 13th, it happens to be regular talk, and they are saying that those who have already done that, you don't have to stay for the regular talk because you already did the talk. Okay. Those who come, just don't forget to bring your the ritual implements, right? Vajra bell and all of that, inner offering and mala. Okay, and the rest of all the things are on the website. You can look up for that. And of course, as I understood last time, that there will be some of us here, and then others, participating through the Zoom. Is equally effective. Don't feel like you have to be here in the presence of XYZ. And then the prayer request. One of our very old-time friends, Jill Ansel, I think she recently underwent surgery, and again she's back to the hospital. So for her and others, and prayer has been requested for, I think this is a Nepali family, Rina and Bina Gyeltsen. And prayer requested for a deceased person, Mikhail Gyeltsen. Today is the 49th day of the deceased person. So let's do the medicine Buddha for the healing, and then Avatara for the deceased. Toje Gunla Nyombe Jomden de Senzan Tebe Ngendu Dunge Doson Neze Sanje Menje La Bindu Yaye Chaze Lo Om Namo Bhagavati Begaze Guru Benduya Tabaranzaya Dadagadaya Arahade Samya Sambuddha Tetha Om Begaze Ma Begaze Ranza Samukade So Tetha Om Begaze Ma Begaze Samukade. Te daum begaze ma begaze ranza samunga de so ha gewa di nyodo da membe gewo dojo ne dowa chi jam te sa la geba sho avalokiteshvara cha dong ko le gyöwe gewo don jen dong gewa sangbe sangye don kan la kan de te la te de jamba jen re se la chanze lo omma ne pe me Omane beme hore gyawa ni nyodo da jere sewan dojo ne dowa chi yama te sala geba sho. Page 3. Lode jazu yudun bega de gesan pombe judun menba sen tenba zinla wando gichu tanyen chogun chola so wan de. Page 5. Mawa dame gwengen donga de kari jongso nyenda sezeba jamgen jawa nyewa yapse 장소 denzi mawe shiba zi denzin chebe yingguan zebe xie nigun changzhu denzi gu longda tamzhe bebe be Duja gyazu gundo shabden shu tesang gongda chezi zombe yongzo yure tobe nyake shin longri tejen rebe beden tobden kangri dabo shabden shu lona kongmen zeba namda dendang rebe pende jongwe shi lundu gyumi shebe tele 盖上对接顿多小点说，其实拉面突解没了。盖上对接电当上面都初中多多几多，其他门边顿个轮着说base 9。让将新给广播采访们做到南街借用这么说，就说这些他说他们在大殿密切交给我做着，都在这当老上叫我协助电班人别白云节，他的对这中国新年两对年节广播说话的几天什么像那边边，代表找我说说他话。nam da su din yang da lang ba ye lo san yin den be do sha den tu jo ya zhen nun zhen yang bei shi sang jo nam zhe sang zhen jun bei gong zhong xie la song zhou de be de den be nga da qian bo sha den qie be dong ang guo wang bo zhou de zhen be ri lang shi yu bang zhe zhen be dun den le xie记住新年进步小点说，开别朗读古些在大节，准备查查你做让是上边的节，别过一些路，顺便新年进步小点，加上路浪准备点点节，民众大学上面。大件这点等的白色话，这点新年进步小点，说中叫我世界勤劳的，多点当今送面错了。大家拉上大别点别，其他门边人个人都说，讲究生活人不节，马节不能解决，也我娘把没。国内广东陪我说，当年大我人不节，马节不能解决。给我娘把没吧，国内广东陪我说啥西北京就是没到张日上那些年的研发的，上去新都没的。如果拿到新了，就把说看着那边过来新干说，平常在我忙里就为，现在是往定金家。下边4点8度，天就节一当古罗热，满天老干你要大要面要我更多养大老满当，人们确实不要老啥的南街原的拉住，多节强给我把牛都说，the last stanza is on the last page actually.